We're in the midst of a sermon series called Chosen, It's Your Destiny. And today the sermon theme is Called. We're going to be looking at the special call and commission of the prophet Isaiah, and also explore what does it actually mean to be called? Or maybe more importantly, what does it look like to live as a called one? To live as one of God's called ones. Isaiah chapter 6 is considered his commission. It is the climax of all the chapters that have preceded it, of Isaiah's oracle of judgment upon those who have been disobedient to Yahweh, and this powerful story. One of the ways of looking at this particular passage and its imagery in particular is in relationship to Israel's understanding of the throne. This is really a visionary experience of the prophet Isaiah. We're given kind of this insight, this kind of backroom portrait of what Isaiah actually experienced and encountered when he saw the Lord on the throne. And it's helpful to understand that the throne is a symbol of God's reign. And so here in this passage, it's the earthly throne and the heavenly throne that Isaiah sees at the same time. Solomon's temple is a series of concentric courts. It is in Jerusalem, the center of the Israelite universe, if you will. And the temple is made up of an outer court where anybody can come and worship. And then an inner court where only the men and the priests are allowed to offer sacrifice. And then inside of that is what is called the Holy of Holies. If you see a picture of the old renditions of the temple, it's the big towering part right in the middle of Herod's temple on the Temple Mount. Inside of the Holy of Holies, past a veil, is what's called the mercy seat, which, if you are a fan of some of the sci-fi shows, Harrison Ford and all that kind of stuff, you will know that the mercy seat is the Ark of the Covenant, and over the Ark of the Covenant are these two angels' wings spread out over it, inlaid in all gold. And over the mercy seat are these huge cherubim beings that stand 30 feet tall and maybe 30 feet wingspan. And their wings stretch out over the mercy seat, over the Ark of the Covenant, and they are all inlaid in gold. And the priests offer incense and sacrifices so that smoke fills the Holy of Holies. And right outside the Holy of Holies is the altar. It is the table of the Lord, where there is set the bread of the presence, and there is incense, and there is burnt offerings. So it's really meant, the whole temple scene inspires awe. It inspires this sense of the holy. And here in this visionary experience of Isaiah, it says in the year that King Uzziah died, which is 740 BCE, that his commission begins with a vision of the earthly throne and the heavenly throne. It says that he sees the Lord exalted on the throne, and the train of his robe fills the temple. So you can just imagine this vision of the temple opening up to the cosmos and the Lord enthroned in the heavens. This is taken from the Merkaba tradition, which means the throne tradition, in which it is at the center of the Israelite universe, the throne of God. It's the throne in the book of Revelation that says, the lamb that is standing is of slain. Are we getting any sound here?
You have to use the microphone.
Can be. Hopefully this thing has batteries. this working? Whoa! But I want to point your attention for a moment to this image. It looks a little bit like a tattoo coming out of a book. With all these wings and this imagery, it's just so fascinating to us, all this apocalyptic imagery. But essentially, it is the ancient way of communicating something that is utterly incommunicable. Something that is utterly awesome and holy and majestic. And Isaiah has seen this. He has seen these seraphim, which are literally translated means burning ones. We think of, I used to think of angels kind of as like cherubs, like these naked little babies with wings that shoot bows and arrows. That's not Israelites. That's not Hebrew. That's Greek for sure. These ones were nothing like that. These would have been terrifying beings, actually, made out of fire and wings, surrounding the throne of God. So you can imagine that when Isaiah has this vision, he falls prostrate. That means face down on the ground, hands and arms outstretched, and he says, "Woe is me, I am ruined. I am undone. Life as I know it is over. I have seen the King. Holy, holy, holy." So this choir of divine heavenly beings in constant worship forever and ever, and Isaiah gets to see a piece of this, and it just ruins him. And this is the beginning of his call, actually, the beginning of his commission. High impact, high drama. What on earth is happening? And I want to pause there for a moment. A couple of reasons. One is when we pray the Lord's Prayer, we say, "On earth as it is in heaven," this is what we're talking about. We are talking about establishing right order again between heaven and earth. We are talking about the holiness of God, the love of God reigning. Another piece that I wanted to mention as well is this particular passage in Isaiah chapter 6 is the form of worship. This is the divine liturgy. This is where us Reformed Presbyterians get our order for worship. So please take a look at your bulletins for a moment. What does it say there? Gathered, inspired, responding, and sent. This is the heavenly pattern of worship that we see in Isaiah chapter 6. The revelation begins in verse 1. "I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne." And it moves straight into adoration and worship of these divine beings calling to one another, saying, "Holy, holy, holy," just like we sang earlier in worship. And it moves into confession. And I said, "Woe is me, I am ruined, I'm lost, I'm undone. And I've just lost the microphone."
Your headphones are working again.
What's that?
Your earpiece is working again.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. Let's give this a shot here, shall we? Okay, can you hear me? All right, maybe this will work. Woe is me, for I am ruined. That is confession. Confession is not to just say, "God, we screw up and we're sorry for it." It is to be undone. It is to say the way that I have been living my life and the view I have about myself and others has come to an end because I have seen the King. I have experienced the divine in my life will never be the same. And I will lay down on my face in the dirt because that's the only appropriate response. That is confession. And then verse 7 move into expiation, which is really forgiveness. After when we become undone, we let the Lord in. And the Lord says, now I can have my way with you. Finally. I've been waiting a long time for this. And I love it. The angel, this terrifying, burning one, this fiery, goes to the altar near the Holy of Holies and takes tongs and takes out this burning ember and comes over and touches Isaiah's mouth. It says, your guilt is taken away. Your sin is atoned for. It's gone. You are made new. You are a new creation. And then it moves into proclamation, which is what people like Justin and I are all about. That's where preaching and sermonizing comes from. But really, the heart of it is not a preacher. The heart of it is the proclamation. It is the message and the messenger. Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? A little pause here, pause button. Who will go for us? It's the royal we sort of thing that we hear all the way back in Genesis. Make them in our image and likeness, right? In our image and likeness. The royal we is the sense that God is the king in a royal council. That the whole heavenly celestial beings, this whole praise and symphonic courtroom of holiness and love and deity are all gathered together, and God sits in the throne as king, and he says, who will go for us? The next moment is dedication. That's the moment when we finally say, here I am. I can't do anything else. It's time. It's time. Send me. I'm willing. And then finally the commission, which is also like mission in some ways. It is that moment where we have said, I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines. I know that there is a huge world out there. I know that the need is great. I know that the times are dark. I know that it is fraught with danger and disaster. I know I might not come back alive. But here I am. Send me. And then the word, go. The word that was uttered to Abraham in the beginning, go. The word that was uttered to Jesus and the disciples, go. The word that is uttered to you, go. Go and tell my people. To be a called one, my friends, is to burn. Just like these burning ones of this vision, to be a called one is to be set on fire. It is to be set on fire with the Spirit of the living God in a way that doesn't always make sense, in a way that might not leave us the same, in a way that will change us forever. It is to burn. It is to be set on fire. Fire is one of the main images of holiness in the Bible. Not only in the Bible, but in almost every religion, fire is the core of the divine presence. It's dangerous. It's powerful, and as we have known with Paradise Lost in California and places like that, it can consume everything. And so sometimes we find ourselves with those things we thought we cared about, those things that we thought were so important to us, have caught fire, and they've burned away. And there's loss, and there's pain, because fire is powerful, and it is untamable, and it will do what it does. And the book of Hebrews says, our God is a consuming fire. And God's desire is to burn away all of that which has no place in this new vision. To burn away all of those things that we cling to that keep us from experiencing God's love, that keep us from being empowered by God, that keep us from being sent. He says you don't need that anymore. To burn. One of the things that's a struggle for us in the church, one of the things that's a struggle for me personally, is to live my life in a way that is open to the fire of God. To live my life in a way that puts me in a place to experience God's presence. And friends, that is really what worship is about. It's not just coming in and singing a few songs and going away feeling a little warmer and a little fuzzier. It is to burn away all of that keeps us from God's life living within us. The second is, to be a called one is actually to experience collapse. And I want to hang out here for just a moment. You see the image, and hopefully understand where I'm going with this. Collapse is actually a really significant and important part of each and every human life. And I also think it's an important part of our life as a collective. Our lives as families, as a church, as communities, as a culture, maybe even a species. And so this question, I keep turning this question over and over in my head, facing in a world that we're facing climate change. I said, what is the purpose of all this collapse? All this confusion and violence and meaninglessness that we experience in so many different levels. Why, God? Why? And I felt like God said, collapse is an important part for all of us, for our children. That there's a sense in which the way that we grow necessarily requires collapse of the way that we work. That as we grow and we develop as kids, right before we're about to achieve some new level of functioning developmentally, the old way starts to collapse. And as parents, it throws us into confusion and it makes us scared and it makes us fear for our kids, and then are they going to have friends, and are they going to do okay at school, and are they going to know just how much they're loved, and we don't know what to do with collapse. And in our families, when things are getting tough in our marriage, all of a sudden things hit, and it feels like there's a collapse, like the bottom is just about to drop out. And in our communities, in our schools, and on a larger and larger level than that, there is collapse. And what I believe that this passage attests to is the fact that collapse and suffering are part of our human experience, and that God has called us not in spite of this collapse, but calls us in the collapse. That the collapse is a way for us to rewire on a higher level of trust with God. God is in the collapse. That it was designed in just the right way. And all we have to say is here. To be a called one is also to transform. And I love the image of a seed for transformation and for calling. Because I want to say that to be called is not a one-time event, but it is a lifelong process. The Bible says many are called, but few are chosen. So here's the crisis. We have the ability and the capacity to refuse our calling, to refuse our flowering into a new, never-before shape, as it were. So I like to take the image of like an acorn or a seed, right? Jesus used the image of the seed. Unless a seed falls in the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it brings forth much fruit. In the same way, an acorn holds the knowledge of the future shape that the tree will become. It's all hidden in this mysterious package. And in the same way, that is what our calling is like. Your calling is unique. Your calling is never before seen. Your calling is somehow designed, imprinted, blueprinted into you by the God of the universe for just such a time as this. And perhaps you have been planted here. Take the metaphor further. Perhaps you have been planted into the soil. And the soil will shape how you grow. But you can refuse. And yet God makes that seed grow. God waters that seed. To be called is to be transformed just like a seed. And then the last is to be called. To be a called one is always to go. It's always to be commissioned. It's not just to sit on the sidelines, friends. There is a task. There is a journey. There is a necessary battle that must be fought. There is some purpose, some goal that you have been called and sent to accomplish, and that we have been called and sent to accomplish in our community and in our world. Believe it or not, but you are called to be a change agent. You are called to do something about the collapse that we live in today. And that call always requires risk. It's always fraught with danger. And that is a part of the unfolding of your call itself. And it doesn't matter if you are 5 years old or you're 95 years old. You are still part of God's plan. So in closing, I just want to encourage you, Grace, as brothers and sisters, as the body of Christ, to make space through worship, through prayer, through study, through experimentation, to go out there and to test your call. Test what you think your calling might be. And maybe the world will respond with a yes. Finally. Maybe someone will respond with, we have been waiting for you. Thank you for showing up. Just maybe.